Welcome to the Career Rockstars Podcast. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Alicia Ali, and welcome to this episode of the Career Rockstars Podcast. My guest today is Loig Le Graet, professional coach accredited by the ICF. He works in career development, team management, organizational development, and transformation. He's a business partner, and he's also a project management expert. Loig holds a master's in IT and computer science from the Institut National des Sciences Appliquées de Lyon, France, better known as INSA. He now resides in Germany and has a worldwide base of coaching clients. He has more than 15 years experience in multiple environments and has held several different posts, from IT engineer to project management to entrepreneur, transition to human resources, and is now an independent certified coach. It seems to me that Loig's career path was not the classic linear one. So all my listeners, corporate professionals, including IT, HR, and business, join me in welcoming Loig Le Graet to the Career Rockstars Podcast. Welcome, Loig.
Thank you, Alisa, for the nice introduction. I'm very excited to be here with you today to share my experiences and answer your questions.
Great, thank you. It's going to be quite fun for our audience to learn that they're not alone. You know, we've all had our career paths, we've all had ups and downs, but we are survivors. We met only recently, Loig, and you actually gave me some resources when I was preparing for my ICF coaching accreditation. So I really wanted to thank you for that. Now, as I said, what a career path you've had. So many different directions. Why don't we just focus on now to start with? Tell us a bit about what you do currently.
So currently, I am a professional coach. I'm self-employed, and I work with my clients who are either individual or teams within corporations or startups who are looking to improve their game, either to go to the next level, develop their leadership, transition career, make a big step.
Yeah.
I also consult on project management and IT transformations.
Okay,
and that's what I do today.
So you didn't leave IT all behind.
For a time I thought, but no.
Okay, yeah, that's super. I mean, we have all these skills, and you know, a coach can do many things, not only coach. So all those skills that we have to remember that we can transfer them, and it shouldn't be lost in translation from one role to another. So well done for that. I think it's a good example to share with our listeners. With such a career that I have just introduced, share with us some of the key highs and lows of your career to date.
All right. I would say one of my key high was when I left Thales, a company I've been working for 11 years. On one hand, it was very sad for me to leave the company. I was leaving the company to follow my wife. And I'm referring that as a high because it was at a time where I was closing a chapter of my life and also an activity. I was super motivated, and it was a mix of doing the two things I like, completing the work or the job properly, and also being strongly connected to the people. So I would say it was one of my high because it combined two things I really enjoy in my professional life, which is to complete or do things and establish strong connections with people. And it was a time also of high emotions, very positive for me to leave a team that I was feeling very well at. a big law, and it's interesting because it's kind of connected to the previous one, was when I had to leave the company I founded, Acrobranch. I was living in South Africa at that time, and I was returning to Europe, and for various reasons, it appeared to me I could not continue to run the business or be part of the business while not being based in South Africa. The difference is that I felt I was forced to do that, and it was like quite difficult for me to accept, to let go of something I created and I invested so much time in.
Mm-hmm. So leaving that company, again, it's all about the emotions. You know, when we leave a company, we leave part of our identity behind in a way. And many, I'm sure you see the same with your clients, especially after job loss. There's a sort of identity crisis. And that's where career coaches come in, of course, to help them to accelerate back onto the path of success. So thanks for sharing that with us. Now, we have all these career moves that you have made, and you just shared 2 of them. And you probably answered part of my question. But for our audience, how would you summarize some of the internal triggers or decision maker factors that drove you to change your careers?
That's a very good question. And I will start with the first move I did when I transitioned from software engineer to project management. So at that time, what triggered me was, I would say it was both factors. So on an internal factor side, I really wanted to achieve something. I was super motivated. I wanted to have a bigger impact in my role. And as a software engineer, it was limited to developing, delivering software components. As project manager, I knew I could have a bigger impact, be a bit more visible. And this is really what was driving me toward that position. There was also an external motivation, which was that there was a need for that. There was a need for such role, and I was being approached. So I would say it was really the perfect setup where I was both internally and externally motivated.
Yeah, so a combination of ambition, personal ambition, but also desire. And at the same time, there was this this opportunity, external need, and you took advantage of that. So I think this happens in a lot of cases, and the faster one, the more aware one is in terms of what's happening around them, in terms of their careers, the more they can take on different opportunities. And a lot of people let that pass by. So that's why, you know, in career coaching also, it's about creating that awareness of always, as I say, always ready, being ready for that next move. And it doesn't necessarily need to be linear. You can go in any direction if you know what you're doing.
Completely. And I would like to add another experience which reflects that. So that first time I was very lucky because they were both. The opportunity and me being ready and looking for it. But if I think about my move from project management to human resource, it was a very different process for me. First of all, it took me a long time of feeling frustrated, sometimes angry, and at the end, even loss of meaning to realize I needed to change something. But the change was bigger. So I realized after years working on projects, okay, I need to work with people. I need to go toward that. And for me, it was a long process to discover that. I did some self-development work. I did something that is called in France, bilan de compétences, which means self-assessment, which is quite a comprehensive process. And I became ready. And part of that process at the end was for me to check if internally within the company I was working in, if there was such opportunities for me to work in the human resource field. And by just asking, it appeared there was an opportunity. And I think it summarizes quite well what often happens. Being ready is the first step. And by being ready, often doors open. It's not systematic, but the chances or the odds are greater. And I want you also to share that personal experience with you and your auditors.
Yes, indeed. That's a cycle, being aware and looking for those opportunities. I'm interested a bit if you would like to share a bit about that emotional journey, because a lot of people get stuck in the emotional journey and they get into that loop and it's difficult for them to get out. Anything you want to share in that domain?
Yes, so here perhaps I'm a bit biased by the coach inside me, but I would say one of the traps is the belief that we all have. And in my case, it was, I'm good in project management because I got positive feedback and I was doing a good job. So I had that belief, because I am being good and I am useful, I should continue doing that. And I was kind of, because of that belief, shutting down or not taking into account the emotions I was feeling. So when I was frustrated, my immediate reaction to that was, okay, I need to get better and manage that and continue doing what ultimately was making me feeling frustrated. So I would say, those emotions, they often tell us something, but when they tell us something we are not ready to hear because they are damaging or putting at stake a belief that until now helped us move forward, it's quite complicated at first. But then it's a process. It's a process of being a constant learner. For instance, when a baby falls, it keeps trying walking, but it's using different techniques. But as adults, for us, it's a bit more difficult sometimes to deal with frustration or anger. And I think, it's a big point that we can all get better at as job seeker, leaders, or even parents.
Indeed. And thanks for sharing that, because many of my clients, and I'm sure the same for you, that's where they're stuck, and it takes a lot. Sometimes it goes very quickly. So in terms of the resources that you've used, what helped you to accelerate that switch?
So I did a lot of self-development for at least 4 years. And one thing that helped me a lot is called time management, and more especially what is named the Eisenhower matrix, or matrix of time management. The principle is fairly simple. At first, it's about dividing what we have to do or need to do in 4 categories or 4 quadrants: what is urgent, non-urgent, what is important and not important. And basically what it says is that we spend a lot of time being stuck in dealing with urgencies, either important or not important. We are distracting ourselves and having fun doing non-important and non-urgent things, where actually the key should be to focus as much as possible on what is urgent, non-urgent, and important, which is about planning, defining the vision, which is actually very related to career development. And in my case, I realized I didn't work at all on that. I was actually even struggling to apply that to my job. So my first step was to apply that to my job. It took me years. And then when I started working on my self-development, I applied that to myself. Okay, where do I want to develop as a person? So I worked on then assertivity. I followed some trainings. I set up new routines in my life. I was coached, of course, in the process. So for me, time management was really powerful because it opened my eyes about how to spend my time.
Super. Yeah. And it's you know, it's something that is a concept that is used and abused, and people try all different techniques. But when you really want to optimize how you operate and you put your mindset towards it, and that what you said about investing in personal development, a lot of people wait until crisis mode before they do so. That is changing for the better. A lot of people are proactive in their personal and professional development. But what I'm seeing also is that there's still a large percentage of the population that are not proactively investing in themselves. And I don't want to say they will be left behind, but that awareness, again, what can I do? And it's not the rat race. That's not the concept here. It's about taking care of yourself while you know exactly where you're going. As we say, being the captain of your ship. Great. Thanks for sharing that, Loig. I would like to switch gears a bit, speaking of captain of the ship, to explore a bit with you about your entrepreneurial journey, because you had a company before, that company still exists, and now you are a second-time entrepreneur. Tell us about that and how you know, a lot of people who are transitioning careers, they think about entrepreneurship. So share a bit of your experience and what message you would like to leave with our audience here today.
So the first time I I created a company, it was in South Africa. I created an acrobranch park. So actually, acrobranch is a French term, so it's like a leisure park with a monkey bridge, zip lines. And at that time, actually, someone came up to me, a colleague of mine, asking me, "Do you think that could work?" At that time, I was doing a lot of rock climbing, and I said, yeah, I think it could work. And I knew someone in France who had such a park, and that's how it started. Key points: I was not alone. I was with other people. So we were really combining our strength. I'm not a good salesperson. My colleague was a very good one. I'm more on the project management side, and my friend in France, he had the expertise around such park. So I would say when creating such a project or activity, being mindful about your competencies is one thing. Do I have all the skills I need? Can I partner with people, or can I subcontract? Also, it was a side project. At the beginning, I didn't even think it would work. I thought, okay, I do that for fun. It was invested with our own money, and I was really doing that out of passion. So I had no business plan, but my partner had one. What I want to highlight that here is that I had the security of my job, and therefore I was free to try and take risk in developing this activity, which is completely different today for me as an independent coach, because that's my main activity. And this is why, by the way, I'm also still consulting in my area of expertise from my prior lives to give me that security. So it's a trade-off. Ultimately, I would dream of only doing one thing, but for me to pursue that dream, I need to secure myself. So when I created the company, Acrobranch, it was having partners, keeping my current job. And today it's by diversifying my activity, leveraging on my previous experiences.
Wow. Yeah, it's always, or it seems easier. And we know as coaches, we end up being like an octopus. We're doing everything from finance to business planning to actually delivering, which is what we really like to do, delivering the services that we set up our companies to do. So it's quite different when you have a team And we do outsource a lot of activities, coaches, but it's not the same as having that team around you and that shared accountability, which can be very powerful if it's working well. So great. Thanks for sharing that story. I just wanted to, so much going on. What advice would you give to IT professionals? Because that's where you started, who are starting to get that desire, shall I say, or some trigger, whether internal or external, to do something different.
So first, my first advice would be, what is it that you want to do? Is that clear? What's the vision? What is it that you are going toward, or what do you like? Because often, and you know that, I guess, going through your coaching sessions, people want to get away from something. But that's not good enough. If you tell the taxi, don't bring me there, it's unlikely the taxi will bring you to where you want to go. So first, it's key to know where we are going. Then more specifically to IT people, try to change, and that's very difficult, I know, but your reference or point of view. Okay, dream big first. If you want to change, what is it that so two things, what do you like to do? And to answer that question, in which moment in your life, in your professional life, have you been fulfilled? I know that for me, it was very difficult, but super insightful to do that exercise when I considered changing job. Because the only thing I had in mind was my skills, which is very, so I'm a software engineer, and IT people, engineers are very square, neat, and they rely a lot on their thinking. But I think connecting to emotions, wish, is super powerful. And when you map out the two, the skills and the wish, you can see what intersects, so where you can go. But you can also see, okay, what do I miss to do something that sounds appealing to me, which was my case, for instance, for human resources and coaching.
Yeah, so it comes back all to that passion, purpose, values. The whole circle comes back, and that's where people are stuck, because then the alignment is off, especially when it comes to values and purpose and the impact that they want to make in the world, whether it's in their community or bigger society. There's so many factors. And of course, that's where career coaches come into play. And as I said, sometimes it's just one click that people need, and they shouldn't be afraid of career coaches. We're here to help them, not to complicate their lives. Great. So thanks for sharing all of that. I'm sure our listeners will pick up on these ideas. Now, coming back to this podcast, Loig, we're here to help professionals to take back control of their careers and to be always ready for their next career move. How would you summarize your approach to your own career management and growth?
That's a very good question. I think, and it's linked to what I said before, there is the vision I see, and that's very personal. But I think for me, my career development is, my vision is to maximize the value I bring to people while being aligned with what is important to me. So it's finding that connection between my values and market needs, and where can I maximize this alignment between who I am and how I can impact with the maximum value the people around me. So I would say that's the first aspect. And the second is how to ensure this is working, and it's to listen to people and listen to feedback.
Yeah.
Listen to feedback when it's working, so I know what's working. Listen to feedback when it's not working, and improve and develop that growth mindset to avoid getting stuck, which is often what may happen when we are stuck in life. We don't see ourselves as an evolutionary organism, but more as a fixed treat person.
Static.
So yeah. So I would say feeling dynamic and having a clear dream ahead of me.
Yeah, what you said is very important, because we have that virtuous cycle. You know, we are doing something that we value, that we are passionate about, and then when we start getting, you know, and we're good at it, coming back to the good old ikigai. But then if you don't get that recognition, that appreciation, that feedback, that reward system, then, you know, that's cycle breaks. And that's why people in corporate jobs, for example, when they start getting not so good feedback, shall I say, I don't like the word negative feedback, the cycle breaks. And that's where they become confused, because they get out of alignment and they're no longer in that flow state. So it's very important for everyone listening to really take some time, whether it's with a coach, a career coach, or your managers, to really start these discussions early on in your career and make it a habit to use it throughout your career and professional development. You already shared some resources, Loig, but what else? Do you have some books or courses other than that other than the time management that you you can share with the audience?
So there are two books I recommend. One is unfortunately in French. I didn't find the translation, but I liked a lot what was said in that book. It's named Oser Changer, which means in English to dare to change. And it's basically about a book that gives you a method to what is said to realize your dream, which is a book that I read last year, and it was offered to me by my former HR team at Thales, and I really enjoyed that. I think I will read it again. It gives a lot of tips and tricks to define that vision, to map out what is missing, or to take the necessary step, or to develop your motivation, which I think applies quite a lot to career development. Another book, in English this time, it's Mindset from Carol S. Dweck. And basically, as it's written here, it teaches how to fulfill your potential and develop a growth mindset, which I think, as I mentioned earlier, is key when we try to do new things, and of course, when trying a new job or developing a career.
Yeah, and we all know that the growth mindset, for our listeners who haven't read it yet, I'm not here to promote the book, but it can be applied from a very young age to really as senior as we can get. And we can always do different things, play the piano if we've never played it, do anything we want if we think and we are able to practice the growth mindset. Very great resources. Thank you for that. So thank you so much, Loig, for sharing your strategies, systems, and stories on how you proactively manage your career, ranging from IT to project management to human resources, and doing so while investing in 2 businesses. Tell me, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me by contacting me by email at loig.legret@gmail.com, and they can also go on my website, cospire.de, leave me a message or book a complimentary session if they want to exchange further.
Okay, great. That's very clear, but I'll still add it to the notes to this podcast and the YouTube video. And now I have my last question for I like to call it a Mr. Universe question, This This podcast, of course, is called Career Rockstars. So my question to you is, what makes you a career rock star?
I would say what makes me a career rock star is the diversity of my experiences and the exploratory trajectory. So it's very horizontal. I did not climb a ladder, but I've explored the map. And I've done very various jobs from IT engineering, project management, human resource, coaching. And I often get the feedback from people when I share my trajectory. They're like, wow. And I think that's what, makes me a career rock star.
Yeah, we're all career rock stars in our own right. We just have to believe in ourselves a bit more. And as you said, it's more than skills. It's about the person and what we bring to our world. So, my dear listeners, thank you, Loig. No doubt Loig has inspired you with his career path and all the changes that he has made along the way. He's also inspired us with the importance of personal and professional development in career management. And he also provided us with some really sound reading resources. I must also thank Loig again for openly sharing his inspirational story, or stories rather, which really shows that none of us are alone and that it is possible to turn around, to amplify, and revamp our careers. This is your host, Dr. Alicia Ali, Europe's premier career coach and mentor. Thank you for listening, and remember to subscribe. Join us next time on the Career Rockstars podcast. Be more, lead more, and live more. We'll enable you to be more, lead more, and to live more, to become a career rock star.